Welcome, guys, to Black Table Read. It is yet another exhilarating episode coming your way. I am your very handsome and very multi-talented host, Mr. Jerry's client.
I, the hostess with the mostest, the queen of shade, Lydia Iku.
Well,
How
I
are
see.
you?
I
How
wish we,
y'all?
I
Y'all?
wish we would have known we was doing the shade thing because I would have did my King Petty. Let me do mine over again. All right.
Oh,
So I am your
rewind.
multi-talented and handsome host, Mr. Jerry's Clyde, aka King Petty. All right, lady,
All
you said yours, so
right.
you good, you good, you
Yeah.
good, you good. You don't need to do yours again. I needed to retake mine. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. I always look forward to Tuesdays with my fabulous co-host, Miss Lydia. It's just always fun to talk to her about all the things we're talking about. If you have not ever listened to us, you're in for a treat. Much like many of our episodes, I think last week I was telling Lydia was one of my favorite. We got in deep.
Oh
We got
yes.
in so deep, and it was kind of therapeutic in nature, just what we talked about with the new normal and the coronavirus and the vaccines and just really trying to get out of our own way so we can get back. So if you haven't listened to that one, you can go and listen to that one on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts at. Those are there as well as any previous episodes that we've done. Also, just a heads up, next week will be our season finale of this season because we're coming right back. Don't worry, we're coming right back. We just want to enjoy our holidays and get some nice stuff for the new year together for you guys. Because when we come back, we're coming back hard and just even better than we are right now. So please get ready for that. So mark your calendars, December 15th. We are back with our final episode of this season. So episode 8. But you can, like I said, you can still go back and look at all the rest of the episodes once we're done for the season. So I think that is everything to get in the beginning. So let's get started with our very first segment, which is our Black Top section. This is where we talk about everything in the news, from pop culture to politics to the coronavirus, all of it. So it's the black top. So I'm gonna kick us off if you don't mind, Lydia,
Go ahead.
because
Do your
this is
thing.
something that I just love. So this is by far one of my idols when it comes to filmmaking and creating. Miss Ava DuVernay.
Hmm.
Just love me a good just she's just so good.
She's
Just
literally a friend in my head.
I
Like,
I'm trying to get to where she a friend in real life at some point.
okay,
you
where we are
know,
literally like, hey girl, hey, on
Auntie
set.
Ava, something.
Right.
But so she's been really doing a lot of good things. She's pushing more into the comic book stuff now. So she already had one project with DC to produce a live action movie about the New Gods. They're a DC group of heroes.
Hmm.
And so but then she also got tasked with something else, but now she's doing something for the CW. So she's supposed to be developing a series called Naomi that's based off of a DC comic. I didn't know much about Naomi, but it actually is.
What?
I'm still trying to keep up with New 52, so I'm a little behind with Naomi.
Clutch my pearls.
Right. But Naomi, the comic book series, debuted back in 2019 with Naomi season one. It was written by Brian Michael Bendis and Brandon F. Walker. And then it was illustrated by Jamal Campbell. And it actually follows a black girl, which I was like, okay,
I
come
would
through.
hope so. Naomi
But she's Naomi.
could
I
have
was
been
like, they
Ava,
didn't give
but
her
yeah.
no actual superhero name. They just gave her because her name is Naomi something else. Like her last name is like starts with a D or something. I can't think about it. But then
Okay.
she was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go by Naomi. It's like, oh, okay, bet. But it follows a teen girl's journey from her small town northwestern town to the heights of the multiverse. When a supernatural event shakes her hometown to the core, Naomi sets out to uncover its origins, and what she discovers will challenge everything she believes about our heroes. Um, so this also follows the news that the CW is developing a Black Lightning spinoff that stars Jordan Holloway
Hmm.
with Painkiller. So
Hmm.
I mean, it's getting more representation, which is great for many of our black and brown young ladies to see themselves on screen. I think that is just highly important to see more of that because we've seen the other stuff a lot. We've seen it way too much, and I think it's
All the
time
time.
for it's time for a change. You know, those stories matter. I think I'm gonna over the holidays, I'm gonna dive into some Naomi, try to get some, get myself prepared for what's to come. I know with
Do
Auntie
your
Ava,
research.
I know Auntie Ava is finna be popping, so y'all get ready to check that out. I don't know, it hasn't been given a release date just yet, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty dope. So yeah, that's what I got. What you got, Lydia?
Whoop, whoop. All right. So if I have any Big Mouth fans out there, I am for sure. It's quite a show. For
Jesus.
Nick Kroll, who is crazy all in himself. They are now in season 4. And if you were following from these previous seasons, the role of Missy was voiced by white actress Jenny Slate, and the role of Missy is a black character. So Jenny Slate, amongst other folks who came across different shows. Let's see, we had I believe Reese Witherspoon. She was a voice on one character of another show, and they basically all came together and was just like, hey, we aren't portraying the characters from which are, coming across the screen, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to misrepresent. And I'm so glad that they came to that realization because, like Jarius has said, we need that representation to come across to us. So, Big Mouth, they just came out with season 4 on Netflix, and they recast the role of Missy with Ayo Idibiri. She has been on a few shows with Apple. She was also a writer with Tina Fey and Robert Carlock on the series Mulligan, which is coming out on Netflix, and another upcoming animated comedy called We Lost Our Human. And like I said, with Big Mouth, it is quite a show. It's about children, but it ain't for the children. I'll say that if you haven't if you
Go
haven't come
go watch
across it
that
just
show with
yet.
your children.
Yeah, it's I'm not even gonna say it's PG-13. It's not one of those for little Mikey and them. So yeah, but shout out to Ayo. I've been watching. I'm on episode 2 or 3, and she's sounds quite similar because Jenny Slate. She's a wonderful actress, comedian. I've caught a couple of her specials. She definitely has that kid-like voice. She's perfect for like voiceover, and what she gave to Missy, I missed it. But like I said, you want that representation to push through. So shout out to her. Shout out to Ayo, and continue doing your thing and representing, Queen. Yes, yes.
Hey, hey, all right. Well, you gave me some stuff I need to catch up on because I've never seen Big Mouth,
I
and I
told you,
haven't read.
you
I've been
it's
watching so much this stuff.
you do. I feel like with Big Mouth, it's there's definitely moments where you will end the show looking like, but it's so real to the point where because it covers kids going through puberty and like all the things that you would think that kids wouldn't be talking about, they're definitely talking about. They're definitely thinking, feeling all of that, and it's covered within it. So check it out.
Okay, all
Check it out.
right,
Check it
all right.
out.
Now to kind of a sad note. I don't know if many of you heard, but there was a recent death in Hollywood yesterday, right? Was it yesterday? It was yesterday.
Day before, yes. Yesterday.
Babs Star and Medea Star. First off, Pian, if you have never seen Babs, whoo, you
Like put us
are
on pause and then go
just
watch
go
it.
watch that. Like
Just
you can
go to Walmart.
come
They
back to
have it in their
us.
collection. Like
You can
just
come back. BET shows it maybe like every other week. You know,
legit.
go if you got on demand.
Go
Go
on
to Pookie and them house.
Amazon
They probably got it
Prime.
on VHS if you
Get
need
it.
it.
Not VHS.
Oh, somebody got that on VHS at their house somewhere. I for a fact they got it. But that aside, so one of the stars from that, Miss Natalie Giselle, passed away at the age of 53 from colon cancer. Um, and you just saw this like just crazy number of celebrities come out, especially those who have worked with her, like Holly Robinson Pete, Holly Berry. I mean, I think Holly Berry's posted like so much about her in
Oh
the
yeah.
past like 48 hours because I think they got really close, especially doing that movie.
Yeah.
And she recently posted a behind the scenes with them in the movie. They were in their whole makeup
The
and
whole
everything,
get
and they
up.
were just on Rodeo Drive between shooting and stuff. And um,
I was looking
yeah,
at because Robert Townsend, who is one of my big idols, especially on the directing tip, he directed Baps, and he put up a post
mm,
about it. And he was saying how she she hadn't had any credits before then. Baps was her first like role, like leading role, and it
mm-hmm,
was actually through Faison Love, who he did the show Parenthood with. And he said, "Yeah, so
mm,
I know you're having callbacks for your movie. If you're needing someone, there's actually this lady that she's in my acting class. If you want to check her out." He said that she was literally outside the room, shaking, nervous, country, just like
not country.
had like he was like her accent was so thick, but to the point where it's just like he said I could tell that she had that epitome of what I wanted that character to be. I just wanted to see her read. So they brought her
Mm,
into the room, and Hallie and all the folks that were in there were just like they'd noticed that, okay, who is this? Even though she had like that big personality,
yeah,
and said that Hallie literally came over, hugged her, and said, "Girl, let's go play." And he said they hadn't even been given like a scene yet, and he could just tell with their chemistry that
yeah,
right then and there she was
yeah.
cast. So yeah, she her along with other artists that I feel like um I mean, when you hear about those artists that you haven't seen in a while, but you still just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like she still had that personality that like even if off screen, she probably was like super dope.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember it was a behind the scenes that Brandy had put up when she worked on Cinderella with her. She was in the cast with Whitney Houston and Whoopi
Mhm.
Goldberg, and she said the same. She was just like you would think she was like just the girl next door, the crazy loud best friend that was will be there for you, and you want somebody like that to play with you on screen, and she was literally like that same person off screen. So yeah, love to her family
Yeah.
and all the fans and all the
Yeah.
friends of hers, and yeah,
Yeah.
deeply
So,
missed.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, like I said, if you haven't checked out the movie, go check it out. See her work, not just in that movie, but also How to Be a Player.
Oh my gosh, I literally had that
So,
right here. I might watch it tomorrow night. Tomorrow, yes.
so she has some classics. She's a very important staple in the black film culture.
Oh yeah.
She's
Oh, on
definitely.
Eve, I loved her on
Oh
Eve.
yeah, her on Eve.
She was
Oh yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like she just surprisingly is a really big staple, like within what we have seen growing up. So
right.
big shout out to her. And may she have numerous peace. Um, and her family have peace even in dealing with her passing. So yeah.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Well, that wraps up for the blacktop. And hopefully y'all learned something, and we'll go check out some of this stuff that we talked about. And we'll have some more blacktop and pop culture and stuff for you next week on our episode next week. So, Lydia, what do we have for our table read? Because it's time for the table read now.
It is. So our table read today is We All We Got.
We is all we got.
Representation in and out of the room. And it's kind of gone along with basically the things that we've covered in the Blacktop about
Mm,
representation and, you know, how we've come across, certain shows and music and uh, film, even within the sports world. Like you when you look on screen, you think about the folks that represent you, that represent the things that you like, the things that you come across in your day to day. And us as artists, like we seen all the time, like we'll walk into an audition room and you'll look across the table and be like, oh, there's not a lot of folks that look like me, but they're the ones that's going to
mm,
make the decisions on whether or not I get this job. And even when you walk outside of the room and you see more people that do look like you, it's usually those same folks, and more than likely, especially like here in Atlanta, we all know each other. So you
we
see
really do.
that, and it's literally like, I mean, and we've covered it before on not allowing our voices to, be diminished within, said project. But
Mm,
outside of the audition space, it's still an important mission to make sure that representation across all boards is covered. And even behind the scenes, for any projects that you're working on, you want to make sure that you represent yourself in a good light, and making sure that those that you come across will see your stature, and raise it and be like, okay, so they're a model citizen, a model artist and things. But yeah, representation is super duper uber important, especially for us as young Black artists and artists of
yeah,
color. Yeah.
yeah,
What do you think?
and also just diversifying the creative process. I think I might have talked about it on a previous episode, but I I had a I did a show here in Atlanta that, for all intents and purposes, the show itself is black. Uh, because I'm coding some of this because I don't want, just in case they listen, I don't want nobody to get peeved off.
Mhm.
Uh, but for all intents, it was a black show. First time working with a completely black cast. It was great. The creative team, however, not as diverse. They had like one person that was um, not white on
Okay.
the, you know,
Hmm.
and these are people that are like our director and our band, and just all these things. And it was like we never were able to like really tap in to certain things that we naturally do. Like we
Hmm.
naturally have a rhythm to us, a flow to us in certain elements, especially if it's a Caribbean type focused show,
Right.
or African type. Like, so we would say stuff or bring up stuff that wasn't necessarily like disrespectful, but it was like, hey, like this is what we're trying to bring to this situation because this speaks to us and represents us.
Right.
But if you don't have somebody advocating on the other side of the table, it kind of goes flat. And that's kind of what this is all about. Is saying that, we all we got, because and some arenas we have to join forces together just to get something done, or to get a project done that reflects who we are. That's kind of like me and Lydia doing Black Tailory. I mean, we join forces to make our voices heard, but also give representation and light to things that people that don't look like us may not understand. You know, I had a colleague of mine from graduate school tell me about, she listens to us, and how there are certain conversations she never thought to have, or knew, what was going on, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of the purpose of it. It's giving light and representation. But it just makes a difference for me, and I share this with Lydia. It makes a difference with me going into a position where I feel like I am the only person, and most of the time I am the only person. Uh, there's a different feeling when you get around somebody that looks like you, or you see something on screen that speaks to you, and it's like, okay, all right, I'm invested a little bit more,
Mhm.
um, or I feel seen a little bit more. And I had this incident when I was on tour. Well, I had two instances, but one in particular where I felt like my skin color mattered, but in the worst kind of way.
Mm.
And it really was like, so you see race. Good to know.
Mhm.
But I had gotten into it with a guy on tour. And what I did was I'm the type to just call you out if you just on some BS. Like
Mhm.
if you just acting all out of order and we in public, you not finna embarrass me.
Yeah.
Uh sorry.
Right.
And so this guy got upset with some of us because we went out for a cast member's birthday. It was so last minute. I think I was in my PJs before this person texted me talking about,
I wouldn't doubt
let's
it.
go, look, let's go to the bar down the street or whatever, get some food and whatnot. I'm like, I'm sleepy. But you get up and go just to, and the next day, um, we get bombarded with all these messages from this cast member. It's like, y'all are the fakest type of people and this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, so if we're terrible people and you can't wait to get away from us, why does it matter? I just told
Mhm.
him straight up. And he went so in on me. He's like, don't start with me. And I was like, no, like you're almost 40. Well, you probably already 40, but you're almost 40. And you acting like this is a terrible example you're setting. And he was like, because I think I had been into my Hamilton auditions before we left New York. And so he brought that. He was like, you're never going to be on Hamilton, like this, that, and the third. And I was like, okay, cool.
Like, who's
And
all got to turn to hating on you? Like this
yeah,
is a cop out. Yeah.
no, but it didn't really hit a fan. It didn't really hit the fan until he said, I don't care that you're black. I'm Irish. I'll whoop your bleep. And
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
I had to pause for a minute. I said, wait, run that back. You said you don't care that I'm black. You're Irish, so you'll whoop my bleep.
Help.
Sir, what does any of this have to do with what I've been telling you?
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that my race actually mattered.
Oh yeah.
Uh, because beforehand, mind you, I'm the only person of color other than our wig person on the tour.
Mm.
I'm the only person of color when we go out on that stage.
Yeah.
And I had always felt awkward, but it was a job, so you do the job. You don't really gripe about it. You do what you got to do, and you make the most out of it for the next. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Oh, Jesus. Oh,
See.
that yawn crept up in there so quick. Y'all,
Wake
it's
up.
it's been a long day. I don't drink coffee, so I'm over here struggling. But it was like it took a lot out of me, and it was crazy because all the hate and stuff beforehand didn't bother me.
Yeah.
All the like name calling, Hamilton, nobody's gonna know my name, this, that, didn't bother me.
Yeah.
What bothered me is you finally showed your true colors and brought up race into it. Not even race, you brought in racism also. You brought
Yeah.
it straight to the door. And when I brought it up into the producer, because everybody was so concerned about the show, because you got to protect the show.
Mhm.
Because at this point we only had we had 5 shows left in the tour,
Mhm.
and everybody's trying to preserve it, trying to keep this person on the show and me on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to be around this dude. Like, I just really don't. He
Yeah.
was like, well, what if he apologizes to you? I was like, okay, and
What can apology
and
gonna do?
but no, most of the cast members was like, he needs to go. Like, he threatened you with physical harm. Like,
Hmm.
and the thing that I had to make people realize was, I said, had the roles been reversed.
There we go. I was waiting for that. I was waiting if that was gonna come up.
Oh no, that came up. That was like, I told every one of my cast members to their face, because they all came to my room trying to figure out why I was looking for him in the hotel.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I was
president on a
knocking on.
mission.
Look, I was like, "What's your room number?
Yeah.
We can handle this right now." But no, and I was like, no offense. Had the roles been reversed and I've been aggressive, I would have been gone.
Right.
No questions asked. No buying out my contract. No, because that's what happened. His contract he still got paid.
Mm-hmm.
He got a plane ticket to go home, and that was it.
Hmm.
And what I told the producer, I was like, it wasn't so much about that bothered me, because y'all gonna do what y'all gonna do in the end, anyways.
Yeah.
What bothered me is the lack of diversity that you have on a Christmas show.
Hmm.
And because it's a
Yeah.
beautiful show, but if you're gonna put on something like that, it has to look like the world that we live in.
True.
And
True.
for
True.
me to be that one person, I wanted to go into spaces, because you're going to areas in the Midwest and to the West Coast. I want to show them that we all have the ability to be very represented in any place, no
Right.
matter no matter what.
Right.
And I was like, next time if you need some bodies, I know tons of people back in the A that we can. You all you gotta do is like, hey, I'm looking for black people, or some people that's not just white, and and to this day love my cast members to death. They
Yeah.
were some of the great people, but I don't think there was one stop in particular that I think it was in we were in Cali, and we got to talk to some kids right before our show, and a good majority of them were Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I wish there would have been more to
Yeah.
allow them to see.
Right.
Because I really took, like, as if it was my duty to be like, hey, look, mom. I talked to one of their moms. I was like, hey, look, I grew up in the West End, where I'm from. That's pretty much kind of the hood or the urban areas, they will tell you.
They usually are. Yeah.
You know, I grew up there. I'm here. I have a whole story that I could tell you, but just really believe in his dream. Just trying to be a beacon, because when
You need
nobody
that.
else do it, when nobody else
Right.
doing it, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, the representation goes again, like we talked about last week. Most of the things that we go through or do or experience has nothing to do with us. It's not
Absolutely.
about us. It has to do for the next person.
Yeah.
So how you set that person up is everything.
Yeah.
And so we got. Like I said, I got Lydia's back, she got my back. Because we know we know that the representation is stronger, because there are people looking to us uh
Yeah.
in a way that I'd never even imagined. So yeah.
Yeah. I did a show with Norwegian Cruise Line called After Midnight,
Come on,
and
after midnight.
for those of you that don't know, it was formerly on Broadway, but the show itself speaks about, it's literally all things Cotton Club. Duke Ellington, Ella Fitz, the band, the tap dancing, the dancers, everything. It literally was portrayed on and that within that show. And for all intents purposes, the the show itself was we were the only all black cast within the entire fleet, and we're
Oh,
talking about from the big ships like we were on down to the
mhm.
small yachts. Only all black
Wow.
cast, only all black show. And I remember talking with some castmates from prior cast, because I was in the 8.0 cast. And the show had been on board since, let me see, it got off of Broadway in 2014, and right then Norwegian brought the rights to it, and it had been on board since then. But I remember talking with one of the former castmates, and he was just telling us, okay, it's just going to be y'all on the ship. Not only were we the only all Black cast, when we got on the ship, we were in entertainment, so we already had that target on us. We were American, so that was another target. And it already had that notion of like, oh, okay, well, they're, entertainment, they're going to be prima donnas, they're going to be, divas and divos, they're going to, want to basically want everything at their beck and call and all this and that. When I tell you, like, all of the crew members literally just like honed to us, because they were just like, oh, because just with prior casts, they loved the show that much because they hadn't seen a show like that. They would have, some type of variety show where they would sing like, country songs and pop songs, and all the top 40 it would be like a good mashup of different things.
Yeah.
When After Midnight came upon, it was such a release for not only crew, but for the guests that will come on board. And I remember there was one gentleman that came on that said, I love everything about the show because you wouldn't see this anywhere else. Why isn't this somewhere else? And we're like, oh, well, it was on Broadway for a little bit, and then, it's on the shift now, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, but something like this needs to be out. There needs to be more of this. You all are great. You all are wonderful. Like, appreciate it. So while we're becking in all of this goodness, mind you, we had only been together for 3 months at this point. We had a 6-month contract together, and there was a person that was within the theatrical relations that was technically like over us, that was right up under the cruise director, who always had it out for our cast. It didn't matter what number it was. And it kind of was like us as the 8.0, we just walked into the mess and the chaos. And when we talk about representation, and when we talk about we all we got, that literally spoke so big, because for this individual, they were wonderful. And not only was he wonderful, he was from across the pond. And it was like, it didn't matter what we did, how we did it, how we said it, how we walked, how we talked. It was just like, he just had it out for whatever, we did or whatnot. And it came down to this small thing of jealousy. It came down to this small thing of like him feeling as if we were going to break, and it was just like, bro, we came on this thing together, because it was myself and a couple of other folks. It was our first contract, so we already were like, we don't know what to expect. The rest of the cast, they had been veterans of it. They had done prior After Midnight cast plus other contracts on other ships, so they were like, look, at the end of the day, if we just hold on to each other, nobody can break us. If anything, we may bend, but we're not going to break. We're not going to let them. And I remember there was one individual from another show that basically, it was another production show that was on board, and they were, Caucasian, but it was like there were certain things that would happen that had it been us doing those things, it would have been all hell breaks loose,
Been a wrap.
And it's almost just like, why we had to come into that? And after a while, it was just like, through all the mess, through all the chaos and BS, at the end of the day, each show that we did, there was always at least some person or a child that would come to us after each show and just be like, oh my gosh, I love it. And I remember it was a group of teenagers that came, and they were like, do you like doing this? Do you, is it easy to do it? I was like, oh, by no means is it easy, but yes, it's fun and I love it. And it was just like, so would you do this show forever? If I could, I literally wish I could. That show was one that I could do in my sleep. But just on the back of representation, here in Atlanta, I just found that I just don't understand how Atlanta is so Black and you won't see it. You won't see it on
Lady,
stage.
I'm gonna get under this table.
I'm just saying, because literally when I moved here, I was
Call
ready.
a spade a spade.
No, literally, because I was so ready. coming from Kentucky, from Louisville, from Bowling Green, where I went to school.
Come on,
My
Bowling
school
Green.
was a PWI, so literally it was just like coming within the theater department. There weren't a lot of us, so it was just like, oh, okay, Atlanta, Black Hollywood, like this is about to be lit. I got here and it was just like, all right, boom. So where's the black theaters? There was two, and it's just like, so where's the black shows? On what stage?
None.
And
On
if you
none.
did see a black show, it was usually in a smaller theater or it was, done independently or what have you. And it's
Yeah.
just like, how did that happen? And even after, doing an apprenticeship and having that experience and things, it was just like, there was still something that was missing within it. And it was just like, there's so much that we need, you know what I'm saying? Like we need to see and hear and feel
And
us.
you know what was missing? Us. That's
Yeah,
what was
that's what
missing.
I'm saying.
Us.
And it was just like, how does that happen when you're in a city like this?
Because we're not in the rooms, and that's one thing. So we changed so we changed the title from this because it was originally going to be who's in the room,
Mm-hmm.
because that's one of the questions that get to ask whenever, for my non-theater people who may be watching this or listening to this. One of the questions you always get asked when you go to an audition, especially if you're in New York, I hear it all the time. Who's in the
Who's in
room?
the room?
Who's in the
Yeah.
room? Look, you got somebody that just got off the train or something that just came off the elevator with their scarf and their Starbucks in hand and trying to figure out, "Oh, so who's in the room? Who's Oh, okay. All right. I may know him. I may remember him." Because people are trying to figure out where the connecting points are. Have I ran into this person? Do I know this person?
Mm-hmm.
But me and Lydia meant it as far as who's in the room that looks like us, who can advocate for us, makes a
Who will
huge
see
difference.
us,
Who see us, because that makes a huge difference. Because when I go into a room for a show, whatever it is, I instantly look for a black person. Not even gonna flex. I do. I look for how many there are of us and I count. And the first thing that either happens is, man, that's a lot of us, or dang, they couldn't find nobody else. Because if the number is too low, you were just trying to get some people. In my mind, I will just speak to my mind. It makes me feel like you didn't try hard enough to try to diversify it.
Mm.
And then if I see a lot, I'm like, okay, we making some progress. We making some progress. These are some people that you found and saw value in. That's great. But it makes a difference to me having people on the other side of the table as well as on the stage in those positions.
Right.
Because like I said, I need somebody to advocate for me so things don't happen like what happened on tour to me. So things like that can be nipped in the bud before we get to me knocking on hotel doors talking about where you at.
Oh, now that you brought that up.
Just
So
oh, violence. You brought that up.
that you brought that up. But there was an incident that I had on the ship with our wig person who was also black. But like I told you, the person that was over top of us was Caucasian. And there were a couple of instances that she and I had, and I literally came to the point, like I said, it was my first contract. So I literally came to work.
Hmm.
And there was one instance where I remember, we had it out, and there was a rule with our wigs that basically we as the cast could not remove our wigs, that she had to do it. So in the midst of our banter, I was just done and I was over it, and I was just like, you know what? I literally took out each pen that was in my cap, and I was just like, just take this because I can't. And she was like, oh, you can't remove your wig, what? I was like, well, the mess that you're coming with, I'm not here for it. So there you go. So on top of that, amongst other things that had happened, it ended up getting to our head or whatever. And I remember like being in his office, and I kind of was just like, look, I don't even want you to feel like this is what I'm about. I don't want you to feel like this is what the cast is about, because we don't have time for this. We're literally here to work. We're literally here to make sure that this show goes great. And
Mhm.
the only thing that he could see was the little itsy bitsy parts of the mess. It was kind of just like bypass the fact that it was, an argument between these two black women, or that it was a situation that could have been diffused from a while ago. It was just like he didn't care. And after a while, I was just like, you know what? You have to just kind of fend for yourself after a while, especially, or link to folks that see you for it, and just how we said, advocate. Because
Yeah.
if you can't look to the people above you to advocate for you, then who can you look to? And luckily enough, like I said, with our past castmate, um that was just like, hey, like, hold on to each other and make sure that, if anything rises, that you'll always hold each other. That came
Yeah.
into play real quick.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's definitely important when you have that person in the room or out of the room, or even after you've booked the show, and you have people that are on the crew who look like you and
Yeah.
they understand you. Like, I remember doing a show here in Atlanta, all black cast, um and there was a situation where one of the crew members just felt the need to just bring up the fact that we were, this all black cast, and that we just kind of had our own jokes and our own little moments with each other, whatever. And it's kind of just like, so when
Excuse
y'all
you.
talking about Star Wars and all these other things, we don't say nothing to
We
y'all.
don't say no. We don't leave. We
Like, there's
leave y'all and Luke Skywalker alone.
and it and it literally was just like, oh well, why don't we talk about something that everybody knows? And it was just like,
No,
I
we
think I
good.
think we were talking about Martin versus Fresh Prince, and we were just doing like a bunch of these, like,
Ah,
what about this,
gotcha.
and that came up, and it was just like, oh well, shoot, Will Smith, da da da, and it's like, well, shoot, Martin Lawrence, and we was just going in and quoting the show and doing all that, having
Yeah.
our black moment. Well, I don't think it's fair if we don't like discuss shows that discusses everyone, and it was just like,
Yeah. Y'all have every other day to do that. Y'all can go sit down.
and the one thing that got me was the person said, well, I mean, you all have an entire month, so isn't that enough?
All right, we gotta go. We could close up shop now. This has been Black Table. Yo, no, she
Baby,
didn't. No, she
the
didn't.
I don't even know if the bomb was able to be defused. It was almost like somebody threw the grenade and it had already like, and I can't
Wow.
fathom how non folks of color can literally just allow that to come out of their lips. Just like my
Cause they
mama said, she said, Karen,
care,
please.
please.
Like, literally, it was just like, are you serious? Well, yeah, I mean, you guys have a month, so like, what's the big deal?
Nah, you gotta go, homie. You gotta
Like, you
go.
have to talk about these shows, and it was just like, I mean, I like Fresh Prince too, but it's not better than Saved by the Bell.
Nah, homie, you gotta go.
What?
Sorry, you can't sit with us, Karen.
You
You
telling me
can't sit.
Zach is better than Will? Get out.
Get thee behind me, Satan.
Listen, I was just,
No, that's just about as crazy. So I had a girl when I was in undergrad. I was taking classes at Kennesaw during the summer so I could get my degree done. This
yeah.
girl literally thought we were talking. We were in sociology, and there was the talk about misconceptions and things about other races, and it came to talk about black athletes, and she was like,
Oh, we go.
and she was something
Um,
she said to the effect. I think our teacher was talking about like that black athletes are just better or whatever.
mhm.
And she was like, there's this misconception that black athletes have like an extra muscle or something that makes them run faster. And Susie Lou Who or whoever said, I thought that was true. And like everybody, even the white people, just turned around and was like, you thought that there was an extra really? Baby, where'd you go to school at? Where they don't got education where you come from.
Oh,
But
my
it's just like,
tears.
bruh, but it's just like y'all literally think these things for whatever reason, and we just supposed to just be just cool about it. And it's funny. So I've been listening to the now that I finished the series, I just kind of been listening to the Lovecraft Country podcast and
Yes.
listen to that, and they brought up a point that I just found I never thought about. Um, but it talked about how with desegregation
Yeah.
came both good things and bad things.
Oh yeah.
Because they were saying that basically at this point, places like Tulsa and other basic like black utopias had been
Hmm.
established even during this time. And then when desegregation came, it integrated those things and kind of made it so that the people who already didn't like it were in the mix of it
Right.
and then kind of crumbled it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I never really thought about it like that. Like we had this identity of like a Black Wall Street, and because somebody didn't like it or had a misconception about it, they destroyed it. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. And I guess I bring that up because that's kind of how it is with that situation with you. Like y'all are having a moment of pure Black entertainment, joy, and whatnot. And because somebody does not like it, they take it upon themselves to simply destroy it and make it awkward.
Yeah.
And I just can't fathom why my happiness as a Black man should interfere with your whatever. Like that, I intentionally, when I can't remember who it was, but there was an incident with a young man who got killed because he was playing his music too loud.
Hmm.
Now, if you see me in these streets, whether you in South Carolina, shout out to Jenna of Glow Lyric Theater, good to see you. Um, South Carolina, Atlanta, wherever you see me driving, I bumps my music. I rides with my music.
Same.
Like I'm in my
Same. Same.
zone.
Right.
And what I started doing around the time that George Floyd had was murdered, let me put it plainly, was murdered,
Hmm.
and Breonna Taylor was murdered. What I started doing when I needed a break after I got off work, I just literally hopped in my car and drove.
Yeah.
Not really a destination, just kind of drove, and I blasted my music.
Hmm.
I played whatever I wanted to. I played Bob Marley, Get Up, Stand Up,
Mm.
and there
Mm.
was there's another one. It's like Slave something, but it is deep, you
Yeah.
know. Blasting Kendrick Lamar is We Gonna Be All Right, just all of it.
That whole
And
album.
I'm Oh yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
literally just being a Black man, period, because I haven't felt like I could do that
Yeah.
without fear of retaliation because I'm simply just riding through.
Hmm.
Um, and I did that not to be defiant, but to be a representation of strength. Because I think it's very easy to shrink because things are hard and things are difficult and people don't like us for how we look. It's easy to do that, to kind of just, but we dope. Because we all we got. We are dope enough to stand up to it and be like, yeah, I'm here. I'm Black.
Hmm.
I play my music loud and I'm well educated. So what else you got?
Yeah. And I think the biggest part that um, should always come across whatever project, whatever field you're within, like when we talk about how it's still an issue for Black women to
Mm-hmm.
come into a workplace with her natural hair, how
Mm,
it's still an issue for us to there was even a friend of mine who said that there was something wrong with she had a custom jacket that her auntie made for her from Nigeria, and somebody
mm,
said something because they were saying like, oh, it's too many patterns, it's too many colors, and had her come back with and say, can you come back with just a solid blazer. it's
mm,
it's it's moments and things like that that really just burn me up, because it's like how we look, how we feel, and it's like, why the hell does it have to consist with our color? Why does it have to consist with our race? That is the
Mm,
problem with us now. Our mindsets are going to be stuck there because we are focused on one thing.
mm-hmm,
And the thing that really just kind of tops it off is when you're doing a show, you obviously want, of course, like we said, with that incident with the young lady on the ship.
mm-hmm,
At the end of the day, we both just wanted the show to be what it was, to be its amazing self, to for every person that graced the stage to be amazing. And this is like behind the scenes though, we needed to be the same thing. We needed to show that when we were off stage, that we were also those same pristine black artists that you've seen on stage. And I think where a lot of people get it mixed up is that all of us are the same, that all of us, have
mm-hmm.
to, come with some kind of couth or whatever, that we don't have the same type of upbringing. It's like we don't. We're all not the same, but at the same time, the thing that is going to hold us together is that we all somewhat share the struggle of dealing with the same mess.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we still have to. But just how we were saying, or how I was thinking earlier, like, how the heck can I come to a city like this that's so black and it's not seen? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
all we can do is try to change it. All we can do is try to, like,
Get in those spaces.
yeah,
Get in those
and
spaces.
make sure that each crevice is filled with color.
Yeah. I mean, like I told you, I'm now on the uh a voting member for one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get on the board of another one, and it's not to put on my resume. It's honestly to protect us
Yeah.
and to make sure we're seen, because nobody's going to advocate for us except for us. And when it comes down to it, if I have to create something to give us a platform, I'm going to create it,
Yeah.
because I'm very tired. I mean, I'm tired in general right now, y'all. It's been a long day, but I'm tired of asking for permission, to
Yeah.
asking for handouts, to asking for, well, can I do this?
May
Well,
I?
may I? No, 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 no. I'm not asking no more. We deserve as a whole to be in those positions, because we have the credibility, we have the talent, we have the vision for it. We have everything that hits the mark. But again, you look at the color and go, no, I don't, you know. And it's like, this is what happens when you weaponize a people and a color.
Mm.
When you dehumanize them and you weaponize them, where literally my color offends you and you don't even know why. You see me walking down the street, you don't know me from Adam or Eve, and you just like, I already don't like him. But do you know anything about me? No, you don't. And that's why I like you said, every corner, like Atlanta, not even Atlanta, every corner of the world, whether
Exactly.
it's entertainment, whether it's finance, whether it's prisons reform system, whether it's the government, it needs representation, and not
Yeah.
just, we're not talking just left wing, right wing, whatever. You need different opinions, but you need a commonality that says, you know what, as a people, not just black, white, or anything, but as a people, we want to progress to a better tomorrow.
Mhm.
Because again, like we have said for the past 2 episodes now, it's not about us. It's about the next people. And when I say next people, it's the next generation, because they will inherit this stuff.
When they're off
They
of
will
TikTok.
inherit these, huh?
When they get off TikTok.
Yeah. On TikTokers.
Oh,
But they will inherit these problems at the end of the day. And the question is, what kind of legacy will we leave?
yeah.
And I want to say definitely kudos to my people here in Atlanta, the black artists. Y'all are really showing up and showing out, and I love it. I've been loving seeing it. I love being
Everywhere.
a part of it. Like my little
Right.
piece of whatever I've been doing. I love that I can contribute. because I see y'all getting in these spaces, getting in these places that y'all haven't been in, and shaking stuff up. It's needed
Yeah.
because people been too comfortable just letting the same old thing happen, and that time is done, and the time is now. So we all we got. At the end of the day, like I said, Miss Lydia got my back, I got her back, but at the end of the day, we got everybody because everybody deserves to be in a position where they are respected and represented for all to see in all hues. You hear me? So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, people. Well, that is our table discussion. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. We all we got representation inside and out. And that's not just talking about the stage either, if you didn't pick up on that.
Right.
But now it is time for our BTR moment for our newcomers. That is our breathe, think, release moment. This is a time where we kind of wrap everything up and just kind of leave you with a little nugget to take with you wherever you go, whether you listen to this on the podcast or looking on YouTube. So Miss Lydia is going to take it today, and y'all get ready. So here we go.
So I have a story for you guys. I came across a gentleman, maybe about a month or so ago, who, but when meeting him, I thought that he was just a white man. Later finding out that he was a Cuban man. We were talking about the NBA finals. So they were on at the time, and I was in Miami. So the Miami Heat were playing the Lakers. And if you haven't been following along, you've seen all across the floors of the bubble there for the NBA, Black Lives Matter. You've seen across their jerseys, you've seen it on their hoodies, you've seen it on the football helmets when they're playing in the NFL. You've seen it, you've heard it, it's there. And I remember talking with him, and me being a sports person, I said, well, who do you want to win? I said, are you a Miami Heat fan? He was like, yeah, I'm a Heat fan. But you know what's really bugging me about this? Why don't they just shut up and dribble? And on the inside, because I had a friend that was with me who she is of Colombian descent. She's from an island. And literally, like, I'm kicking her under the table and I'm like, do you hear this dude? And he's going on and he's saying, yeah, well, why don't they just shut up and dribble? Because had they been working for me, you wouldn't be talking all of that. Because at the end of the day, all lives matter. You know that whole jargon. We don't have to
Mm-hmm.
jump into it. My main thing is this.
Mm-hmm.
How we say that we all we got, that's literally what it is. And for that gentleman, obviously he ain't got nobody but himself. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
really feel like a people who have felt so much and gone through so much can't even say their piece when it feels like one of us is taken away by the means or the hands of someone else because they want to play God, it's not about, oh, well, why can't they do this? Why can't they just go do their job? Because a lot of us kind of walk in and we don't see us. So we can't do our jobs. A lot of us walk into these spaces and don't feel comfortable because we aren't represented. And when we finally have the time and the moment to want to be represented or to represent ourselves for the next person, and somebody still has to come with the mess saying, well, why can't you just do your job? Why can't you just dribble? Why can't you just wear your hair a certain way? Why can't you just do this? Because that's not me. That's
Mm-hmm.
not us. And I would bet my bottom dollar that if anyone walked into a space and didn't see a lot of them, you would kind of feel some type of way, right? You would feel uncomfortable. You would feel like, oh, I'm not here because someone else like me isn't here. It's almost like when kids walk into a playground and they see all these kids and it's like they don't see their best friend out there because they're homesick, or they have their small little cliques. You know how kids are. They have their small cliques, like this group likes to eat lunch together and that group likes to eat lunch together, but there's
Yeah.
nobody there because there's nobody like me. Nobody likes dolls like I do. Nobody likes comics like I do. When you see and finally see that one person that likes the same comic version that you do, that other person that has on a Superman shirt like you do, like, look, I wore this just tonight for my brother.
Hey, come on, Soup.
Like, you have to show that representation because you never know who out there is looking to you
Mhm.
to be that representative. So find that representation. Find that moment within yourself to be a representative for the, because like we said, it's not about us, it's for the next person, it's for the next generation coming up. And I'm looking now, it says, my father, he said, what about fear? Yeah, fear is definitely a part of it, but a lot of times if you go into something scared, it will never get accomplished.
Say that. Say that.
I
Say
mean, fear
that.
is always going to be there because we are human. And as humans, we have the complex to want to break down and want to knock folks down because of something that we don't understand. Push past it because at the end of the day, we all we got. So
Yeah.
appreciate
Oof.
y'all.
Oof. So much in the last couple of minutes, but so true. So true. Fear will keep us from a lot of things. But like you say, you got to push past it. There's so much to be done, so much on the other side of this, and we got to push through it because, like I said, we all we got. So, all right, y'all. Well, that is our show for tonight. It seems like some of y'all liked it from the comments, so thank you
We got
guys so
some
much for.
great feedback. Thank you
So
guys.
thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, next week is our season finale.
It's gonna be a
Uh,
good one though.
it's gonna be so good, so good, so good, so good. So please stay tuned. Next week, same time, 7:30. And like I said, if you want to go back and listen to this episode, it will be available on wherever you listen to podcasts and YouTube. So just stay tuned. So all right, guys, we're gonna get up out of here, and we will see you guys soon. But stay blessed, stay well, and please, for the love of Pete, wear a mask.
Wear your mask, wash your hands, wear your mask, wash your hands.
Yeah,
All the
what
things.
she said, all the things. And we will see you guys next week. All right, take care. Peace.
Bye.